The anterior compartment of the arm includes three muscles: the biceps brachii, brachialis, and brachialis. The biceps brachii has two origins, two heads, the long and short head. The long one arises from the supraglenoid tubercle of the scapula, here it is, and the short one arises from the coracoid process of the scapula. So these 2 points are the proximal insertion of the biceps brachii. The distal insertion is the tuberosity of the radius on the forearm, here. The muscle has double function. It is a flexor of elbow, very powerful flexor of elbow, and a weak flexor of shoulder joint. And also it is a powerful supinator of forearm, because it can rotate the forearm laterally. The next muscle is the brachialis. Its proximal insertion is on the coracoid process of the scapula, just under the short head of the biceps brachii, and the distal insertion is on the medial aspect of the shaft of the humerus, just here. This muscle is a flexor of the shoulder joint. The last muscle is the brachialis. This is the deepest and lowest muscle here. It arises from the white area on the lower half of the humerus, the anterior surface of course, and inserts to the carotid process and the tuberosity of the ulna, here. It is a powerful flexor of the elbow joint. All three muscles are innervated by the musculocutaneous nerve. The musculocutaneous nerve is one of the nerves from the lateral cord of the brachial plexus, and it pierces the brachialis muscle in its origin, and after that it lies just between the biceps brachii and brachialis, here. And of course it gives the branches, the muscular branches, to supply these two muscles. The terminal branch of the musculocutaneous nerve is the lateral cutaneous nerve of forearm, and it supplies the skin over the lateral aspect of the forearm. Here it is. Median nerve forms from the medial and lateral cords of the brachial plexus in the axilla. It runs downward on the lateral side of the brachial artery. Halfway down the upper arm, it crosses the brachial artery and continues downward on its medial side. The nerve, like the artery, is therefore superficial, but at the elbow it is crossed by the bicipital aponeurosis. The median nerve has no branches on the upper arm, except for a small vasomotor nerve to the brachial artery. So here it is, the median nerve. Let's try to find them in the all specimens we have in our lab. In the plastic specimen, in the plastinated models. The ulnar nerve forms from the medial cord of the brachial plexus in the axilla. It runs downward on the medial side of the brachial artery as far as the middle of the arm. Here, at the insertion of the brachialis, the nerve pierces the middle fascial septum, the middle intermuscular septum, accompanied by the superior ulnar collateral artery, and enters the posterior compartment of the arm. The nerve passes behind the middle epicondyle of the humerus. Here, it just loops around behind the funny bone and makes some unpleasant feelings when you hit it. The ulnar nerve has no branches in the anterior compartment of the upper arm. So the ulnar nerve on the plastic model, on the plastinated specimen, here it is. The brachial artery is the main blood supply of the arm, and it begins at the lower border of the teres major muscle as a continuation of the axillary artery, and it terminates opposite the neck of the radius by dividing into the radial and ulnar arteries. Along its way on the forearm, it gives some muscular branches to the anterior compartment of the upper arm, and it gives the nutrient artery to the humerus. Also, it gives two collateral arteries, the superior ulnar collateral artery, which arises near the middle of the upper arm and follows the ulnar nerve, and the inferior ulnar collateral artery, which arises near the termination of the artery and takes part in the anastomosis around the elbow joint as well. The most powerful branch of the brachial artery is the profunda brachii artery. It arises near the beginning of the brachial artery and follows the radial nerve into the spiral groove of the humerus. This artery supplies all the structures in the posterior compartment of the arm, and also it gives two collateral arteries to the anastomosis around the elbow joint. These two collateral arteries are the radial collateral artery and the medial collateral arteries. Here they are. The posterior compartment of the arm, it has one large muscle in it. This muscle is the Triceps Brachii. The Triceps Brachii has three proximal insertions. It has three heads. The long head, it arises from the infraglenoid tubercle of the scapula here. The lateral head, it arises from the upper half of the posterior surface of the shaft of the humerus, and you can find it here. This is the upper half of the posterior surface of the shaft of the humerus, just above when the spiral groove. You can find the lateral head of the Triceps Brachii. And the medial head, it arises from the posterior surface of the humerus just below when the spiral groove here. All heads were joined together to form one muscular belly, and this belly inserts to the olecranon process of ulna. Here, this is the distal insertion of this muscle. And as you see, we have two joints between the proximal insertion and the distal insertion. We have the shoulder joint and the elbow joint. So the Triceps Brachii is a powerful extensor for the elbow and a weak extensor for the shoulder joint. The radial nerve supplies this muscle and the profunda brachii artery. The radial nerve, it forms from the posterior cord of the brachial plexus. Then it leaves the axilla by passing through the triangular interval together with the profunda brachii artery. Here they are, the radial nerve and the profunda brachii artery. You can see them. Then it passes through the whole posterior compartment of the arm, lying just on the posterior surface of the humerus, where we have the spiral groove, the special rod for the radial nerve, and here it separates two heads of the Triceps Brachii, the lateral head, which is just above, from the medial head, which is just below than the spiral groove. Then it winds around the humerus and appears on the lateral side of the elbow region, here just above and the lateral epicondyle. We can follow it then on the forearm. Let's find the radial nerve on our plastic models. Here it is, the radial nerve. It appears on the lateral side in the elbow region, just on the inner surface of the brachioradialis muscle. And the radial nerve on the plastinated models, on some of them we can follow the nerve because the triceps muscle is separated to show it for us. Here it is. But on another plastinated models we can find it in the lower part of the arm. Here it is.